Okay, we're recording. Please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. It's December 15th, 2025, and this is a regular meeting of the Amherst Town Council. There is one public comment period. The Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 extended through June 30th, 2027, the ability of public bodies to meet in a fully remote or hybrid manner. This law allows us to continue holding meetings remotely without a quorum of the council physically present at a meeting location. However, I'd like to call to your attention that in fact, there are 11 counselors in the room tonight. Please be advised that this meeting is being held in person and that the remote access option is provided as a courtesy only. If we have technical difficulties with the remote connection, the meeting will continue in person as scheduled as long as there's a quorum of the council in the room or available by technological means. Given that we have a quorum of the council present, I'm calling the December 15th regular town council meeting to order at 6:34. I'll call on each councilor to make sure that they can hear and be heard, addressing them by the name they have asked to be addressed. Pat DeAngelis.
Present.
Anna Devlin Goth here.
Present.
Councilor Ette.
Present.
Lynn Griesmer's present. Councilor Haneke.
Present.
Bob Hegner.
Present.
Councilor Lord. Pam Rooney.
Here.
Councilor Ryan.
Present.
Kathy Shane. Here. Andy Steinberg.
Present.
Jennifer Taub.
Here.
Councilor Walker.
Here.
Okay, if you have technical difficulties, please let either Athena and I know and use the raised hand button. The only two announcements we have tonight are, first of all, on January 5th at 6:30, there will be a swearing in and a regular town council meeting in this room. And on January 12th, the council will meet again at 6:30. There's no hearings tonight. We're going to move directly to general public comment. If you are in the room and you would like to make general public comment, please make sure you've signed up over here. And if you're in the audience and you would like to make general public comment, please raise your hand now. Athena, how many do we have?
Just one.
Okay, and I've got one on Zoom. Public comments are a matter within the jurisdiction of the town of council. Residents are welcome to express their views for up to 3 minutes. The council will not engage in a dialogue or comment on a matter raised during general public comment. Public comments are not reflective of the opinions of the town council. So let's start with the gentleman who's in the room. Please come up, make sure the green button is lit, and state your name and where you live. And you need to speak into the mic. Thank you.
My name is Michael Como. I live at 260 Northampton Road. And if I can make request one point of order, I guess. Seeing as I'm the only one in the building that is asked to address the council, and you have one more on Zoom, could I request possibly one additional minute?
Please go ahead.
Again, my name is Michael Como. I live at 260 Northampton Road, and I'm here to ask town council to support a slight adjustment to the town's sidewalk route along Northampton Road. The adjustment is to redirect the sidewalk plow to return back to town via the south sidewalk of the road. The request is 3/10 of a mile long between Hazel Avenue and University Drive. The town does currently plow this major sidewalk on the south side of on the south side from North Pleasant Street to Pratt Field's main gate and from University Drive towards the Hadley Town line. The town also plows the entire length of the north side of the road. Emails concerning this request that I'm presenting to you were received by the town manager, superintendent of DPW, and several members of this council. We have received support from council members. However, our request was denied without providing us the opportunity to present our concerns to this council. The reasons cited were limits to budget and staffing, diminished resources, and that the town does not have sufficient personnel to or equipment to plow all sidewalks. Staff and equipment are already in the neighborhood plowing the sidewalk. And I'm referring to a section of sidewalk that connects two existing sections of the same sidewalk on a route currently being cleared by the town. In the past, I have watched the plow on Northampton Road, the sidewalk plow on Northampton Road, cross Northampton Road at Prattfield's main gate and then travel the north sidewalk. When the plow completes the lower section of the road, the lower north section of the road, it again crosses Northampton Road to begin clearing the south sidewalk towards the Hadley Town line. After this, it clears the Swiftway extension towards the rail trail. When this is complete, the plow crosses Northampton Road for a third time, this time to return back to town with the plow raised on the recently cleared north sidewalk. Clearing the south sidewalk on the way back to town will not require additional staff or resources. As mentioned, the plow and the driver are already at the University Drive intersection. The plow can return to town just as timely and conveniently on the south sidewalk as on the north sidewalk. As you may know, University Drive, the intersection, is the widest multi-lane section of Route 9 in Amherst. There are multiple eastbound lanes merging into one lane within a half mile. So multiple lanes at University Drive have turned into one lane by the time they hit Hazel Avenue. The state pre-treats and heavily salts Route 9. The majority of accumulation on this sidewalk was plowed off of Route 9, and the slushy mixture piled directly onto the sidewalk very quickly compacts and starts to ice over. The town has and does use heavy equipment for clearing sidewalks, and it only takes 2 minutes to plow for the plow to travel from Hazel Avenue to University Drive. As private property owners, clearing the sidewalk on Route 9 is not feasible without significant physical or financial hardship. And being denied this service, our neighborhood is excluded from receiving a town service that is provided to the rest of Northampton Road and to many sidewalks throughout the town. We're requesting an equitable solution to a hardship that was placed on us, not of our own doing.
That's a 3-minute warning, but please go ahead.
And
That was 4 minutes.
I'm
It
concluding.
was
In
4
conclusion,
minutes. Thank you.
I'm asking that the request I presented to this council be added to the next meeting be added to the agenda of the next meeting of this town council, and that all affected parties within this neighborhood have the opportunity to discuss our concerns and answer any questions that might arise.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you for your consideration.
I'd like to call on Renata Shepherd. Please enter the room, state your name and where you live.
Hi, my name is Renata Shepherd. I live on Justice Drive in Amherst. And I was planning to make this comment last week when I sent the letter, but I missed the comment period. So here I am. Dear Town Council, I am the parent of 4 children and a resident of Amherst for over 30 years. My 3 older children graduated from Amherst Public Schools participating in soccer, track, volleyball, and other sports. Athletics played a significant role in their academic success and provided structure, healthy activities that kept them engaged. My youngest son is now in 7th grade, and I am concerned that middle school athletic offerings are extremely limited and in some cases non-existent. For the past 2 years, I've requested the addition of boys soccer in the fall and indoor track in the winter. I was recently advised these requests should be directed to the town, which oversees middle school recreation. Middle school sports are critical, not just for fun, but for building skills, confidence, and participation needed at the high school level. Amherst Regional High School operates with one of the leanest athletic budgets in Western Massachusetts. Our athletic director relies on careful planning, co-op programs, and MIAA waivers to ensure students have access to all sports. When numbers are low, middle school students may participate to help fill rosters, but if high school athletes are sufficient, middle schoolers cannot play due to MIAA rules. This year, for example, Amherst could only field a single varsity girls basketball team. This illustrates why strong, consistent feeder programs at the middle school level are essential. Without early opportunities, fewer students enter high school ready or confident to join a team. The morning movement and mentoring program before school is appreciated, but it does not meet the need for after-school athletics. Expanding middle school sports doesn't require a large investment. Soccer and track need minimal equipment, and the gym could host indoor sports in the winter. Amherst also has access to college students who could volunteer as coaches for academic or community engagement credit. We urge the town to collaborate with the athletic director to assess needs, survey families, and provide meaningful, equitable athletic opportunities for our youth. Investing in middle school athletics strengthens high school programs, supports students' health and well-being, and is an investment in the future of our community. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, Renata. That concludes public comment. We are going to now move on to the consent agenda. And the following items were selected because they were considered to be routine and expected to not create controversy. To remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion later in the meeting, ask that it be removed after I've gone through the list. The motion is as follows: to move the following items and the printed motions thereunder and approve those items as a single unit. Approval of the following town manager appointments: Community Development Block Grant Advisory Committee for a term to expire June 30th, 2027. Marilee Lamata. For a term to expire June 30th, 2028. Mayan Thorson. Community Preservation Act Committee, Mark Barrett, Housing Authority Representative, for a term to expire June 30th, 2026. Please note these terms are concurrent with the other people on the Housing Authority. Department of Public Works Building Committee for terms to last the length of the building process. Town Manager Paul Bachman, Superintendent of Public Works Guilford Mooring, Finance Director Sean Mangona, Town Councilor Pam Rooney, David Alfield, Joe Cook, and Christine Gray Mullen. And Jones Library Building Committee for a term to last the length of the building process. Finance Director Sean Mangano. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the vote on Devlin Gauthier.
Aye.
Councilor Ette.
Aye.
Lynn Griesemer is an aye. Councilor Haneke.
Aye.
Bob Hegner.
Aye.
Councilor Lord.
Aye.
Pam Rooney.
Yes.
Councilor Ryan.
Aye.
Kathy Shane. Yes. Andy Steinberg. Jennifer Taub.
Yes.
Councilor Walker.
Yes.
And Pat DeAngelis.
Aye.
Okay. We have no resolutions and we have no presentations tonight, so we're going to move immediately to the two action items on our agenda. They are based on the requests of different councilors that they be placed on the agenda because they are presently are on carryover memos. And by voting in favor of these, you would remove it from the carryover memo. The first one is in accordance with Town Council Rules of Procedure, Rule 8.9C, to prevent carryover of appointment to the 2024 Charter Review Committee. Is there a second?
A point of order, there's a GOL report. This was a GOL request.
I'm sorry,
I mean,
thank you.
Put the motion, I'm sorry, you can put the motion on the
Anna,
floor.
please go ahead.
Sure. So I
I'll
spoke,
second it.
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So I spoke to this briefly at the last meeting, but essentially with the work of the Charter Review Committee coming to a head with the delivery of their report, it did not seem to GOL prudent to try to fill the spot on a committee that will, we assume, be dissolving upon receipt of that final report.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? The motion's been made and seconded. We'll move to the vote. We'll begin with Councilor Ette.
An aye vote means it's removed from as a carryover.
Yes.
Aye.
Lynn Griesemer's an aye. Councilor Haneke.
Aye.
Bob Hegner.
Aye.
Counselor Lord,
Aye.
Pam Rooney,
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Kathy Shane,
Yes.
Andy Steinberg,
Aye.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Pat DeAngelis,
Aye.
Anna Devlin Gothier.
Aye.
Thank you. The second one, I'm going to place the motion on the table, seek a second, and then ask Counselor Haneke, who initially asked that this be placed on this, to speak to the motion. In accordance with Town Council Rules of Procedure, Rule 8.9C, to prevent carryover of the proposed legislative process guide. Is there a second?
Second.
Go ahead, Counselor Haneke.
So this was something that at the very end of the term before the one we're in now was referred to GOL, but I'm not even sure anymore for what other than consideration. It's been there for 2 years. I don't think there's been a single conversation on it. The original drafter of that process guide is no longer on the council. And I think even when it was referred, there was question as to what GOL was supposed to be doing with it when considering it. So at this point, I think it's time to remove it from it. And if someone wants to re-propose something with a better indication as to what the goal of it is and what the council action would be more appropriate than leaving it on GOL's agenda to linger.
Are there questions or comments? Andy Steinberg.
Yes, I'm going to speak in opposition. I was on TSO when that was developed by Shalini Ball-Milne, who was at that point a counselor, and she worked very hard and thoughtfully about the question. And I think that she was raising questions that were of great concern to me also. So I was very supportive of what she was doing. Since I'm not going to be on the council after tonight's meeting, I think it's important to at least speak up and recognize what was to be accomplished by that. It was to try and give more thought to the question when somebody wants to develop a bylaw from the council, is to the kind of consideration that should be given to it, and whether the referral to a committee is appropriate. I think that what we've experienced, and we've all experienced over the first 3 terms of the council, is that when something is referred to the committee is making a tremendous amount of time investment in consideration of that item. And that it is also involving a lot of staff time and involving expenses, having particularly with the town's attorney to assist in the process. I think that it is advisable for the council to still consider whether there needs to be some process to have a review of the proposal and the discussion of the proposal, to make sure that the council is really committed to investing that much council time, which is mostly committee time, staff time, and other expenses, at the expense of what other things might be accomplished. And the idea of the referral in the last time this came up was not that it was the perfect answer, but that it was an important topic, and that the hope was that GOL would continue to consider it. I'm concerned because without speaking up about this, I think that it could just die, and then the next council is going to experience potentially the same problem that I just described. And for that reason, I'm going to vote no.
Kathy Shane?
I'm going to agree with Andy, and I think many of the counselors in the room now may never have read it. As Mandy said, it is, or Counselor Haneke said, it was referred and sort of sat in the waiting room, but it was, whatever we think of the specific ideas, the intent was to give us a guide and a way to think when we get a complex proposal the very first time as we're dealing with it. So I think the concept is worth having a conversation about. If we completely delete it from carryover, we won't have the beginning draft of ideas in front of us. So I think it's worth keeping them.
Counselor Ryan?
So I think with the original sponsor not being on the council now for 2 years and Councillor Steinberg about to leave the council, and it having sat at TSO for 2 years, I did read the memo in great detail, and I didn't hear from anyone on the council through those 2 years that wanted to pursue it or was asking me to make sure that TSO would take it up. And we had a lot on our plate, but there wasn't any momentum or support that I could see from my colleagues. So just leaving it for the next GOL, the same thing is going to happen unless there's a counselor here who has read it and feels strongly that it should be pursued. I have read it, and I think it's got some issues. So I'm certainly not going to pursue it, but there are 12 other counselors. So I would urge us to take this off the carryover, and it's still there for anyone to consult. And if they feel strongly that this is something we should take up, I think they should bring it back to the new council and with a much clearer sense of what they want TSO to do with it. Because I don't have any clear sense of what we're supposed to do with it. I felt that there were just too many things in it, and I wasn't going to spend the time to sort it out. We never got to it anyway. So I would urge my colleagues to actually support this. And if they do feel strongly that this is something we need to work on, they should look at it, and then they should bring it back to the council and with hopefully a clearer set of goals for what TSO is supposed to do with it. Because right now, there isn't one. And the same thing is going to happen again.
Counselor Ettek?
So I was in support of having this item, and I was in support of it in GOL. And if you didn't hear about it, George, maybe it's because you weren't listening. I think there's a benefit to having this guide in whatever form it is. Of course, we could make it better. It tried to do too much and melded into one. It wasn't able to achieve anything. It would be helpful if GOL gets to look at it in the coming session and decide of the myriad goals that it has, what is most significant and what would be most useful, and also possibly what would be the least amount of work to make it more efficient. But I don't think it would be helpful to take it off, given how we already seem as a council to be inefficient with our time when it comes to the measures that come before it.
I'm going to go to Anna and then back to Andy.
So part of the challenge with this guide is that it's very broad in its recommendations, and it is broader than what technically counselors need to do. That said, it's not that anything suggested in the guide is a bad idea. However, what it is it includes a checklist, for example, as I believe recommendations for people to consider the answers to as they're going to propose something. The challenge that TSO faced when they first took this up and GOL faces when we try to discuss it is that it's very hard to fit something that is so optional into our required practices and rules. So while there may be a use for this, I think I just want to reiterate, I've been on 2 committees that have tried to take this up. It's very hard to figure out a place where it goes because this is not a document that outlines our required procedure. It is a document that suggests options that people might think about. I am concerned about the council adopting it in a formal way because of how cumbersome it would make the task of bringing something forward, and how every measure that we look at has a slightly different path to get here. That said, I think that if GOL needs to continue to have this item to discuss it in order to say, this is a helpful thing to have as a reference that's emailed to new counselors, then GOL can keep this. But I would support removing it from the carryover memo because I feel that the breadth of this document and the breadth of what it's suggesting is going to be very challenging to formalize in our process.
Andy?
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing that was said by Councilor Ryan. It was not really in the TSO carryover memo. We weren't assigned that task. It was referenced only because Councilor Ballman brought the topic up as a matter of her participation on TSO at the time. And it actually had to do, it was flowing from the lighting policy. And I do note that the lighting policy was in the carryover memo and it was assigned to TSO. We also did not get to it, but we didn't get to it for very different reasons. And we have continued it in our carryover memo that we proposed for the next council. So the fact that something was not dealt with in this council, that's an example of something that is being proposed for carryover to the next council unless a different policy or bylaw on the same subject is introduced in the next council, and we would suggest our carryover memo suggests that it not be pursued. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody understood that it was assigned to GOL because it was a more appropriate committee to consider it, even though it arose from the discussion that happened out of the TSO committee in the prior term.
Are there any additional questions, comments, or statements that councilors would like to make? Okay, we're moving to a vote. Councilor Haneke,
Aye.
Bob Hegner,
Aye.
Councilor Lord,
Abstain?
Pam Rooney.
No.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
No.
No. Councilor Ryan,
Aye.
Kathy Shane,
No.
Andy Steinberg,
No.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
Councilor Walker,
No.
Pat DeAngelis,
Yes.
Anna Devlin Gothier,
Aye.
Councilor Ette,
No.
and Lynn Griesmer is an aye. It's 7 in favor of removal. I got that right. Yeah, 7 and did I miss somebody? Okay, okay. It's 7-5 to 1.
Abstention.
Okay, 7 in favor and 5 opposed, 1 abstention. Thank you. Then there are no other action items. We're going to move on to appointments. We've already done the consent agenda, but we do have a counselor appointment, and that is the Budget Coordinating Group. We have all received and been made aware that Councilor Steinberg has resigned, and yet there is one more meeting on December 18th of this year from noon to 2. And the Budget Coordinating Group. once the new council is sworn in, this is one of the groups that gets reorganized with new councilors. So it would actually be only for the 18th. So the nominations are open for the floor. Councilor Andy Steinberg.
Yes, being the one who's resigned from the committee because I'm not going to be in the next council. And I think that we should have a representative who's going to be in the next council. At this BCG meeting, I nominate Kathy Shane.
Kathy, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do, and I thank you for it.
Are there any other nominations at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to read the motion. The motion is to appoint Councillor Kathy Shane to the Budget Coordinating Group for a term to expire January 5th, 2026. Well, is there a second? Bob Hegner, we're going to move to the vote. Any other questions or comments? Kathy, would you like to make a statement?
Other than to say I have watched some of these meetings, so it may seem odd to be there for just one meeting, but it's a continuation of a lot of work. So I thank you.
Okay. And by the way, the meeting the agenda has been posted. So, okay. Motion's been made and seconded. Any other questions or comments? Bob Hegner,
Aye.
Councillor Lord,
Aye.
Pam Rooney,
Yes.
Councillor Ryan,
Aye.
Kathy Shane,
Yes.
Andy Steinberg,
Aye.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
Councillor Walker,
Yes.
Pat DeAngelis,
Aye.
Anna Devlin Gothier,
Aye.
Councillor Ette,
Aye.
Lynn Griesmer's an aye, and Councillor Haneke.
Aye.
It's unanimous. There are no minutes to approve. The town manager has written a report. Paul, would you like to make any highlights?
No.
All right. We will go back to committee and liaison reports in a moment, but are there any questions of the town manager since we're on this topic? See none. I'm going back to the committee and liaison reports. As I mentioned earlier, for the budget coordinating group, we meet at December 18th from noon to 2 by Zoom. The main focus of that agenda will be, first of all, both the elementary school, as of tomorrow night, will have released their budget, although it's in their packet, and the regional schools have released their budget. And it's really up to the budget coordinating group as to whether or not they would like to make any statements regarding guidelines to share with the town manager. Are there any questions or comments on that? CRC, Pam Rooney.
Thank you. There was an extensive memo that was sent to town staff asking for comment and review on the solar bylaw that has been underway for the last couple of years and now is being aligned with state guidelines. And we are looking for response from the town. I don't remember the date exactly, but I want to say February 1. That may be incorrect, but we appreciate the perspective of the town staff in helping wrap up some of this work. And thanks to all the counselors who helped write the memo.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Elementary School Building Committee, Kathy?
We met last Friday and Paul's report does an admirable job of summarizing it, but we're on schedule for the building. And one of the issues that was raised actually by Paul on whether weather was going to be of a concern. And they said the answer was basically no, because the building will soon be completely enclosed and we'll be doing the work inside the building. They have brought some heating equipment in, and many people in this room went on a tour to see how far along it is. It's quite exciting. So it's starting to be to the point that the building is energized ready, which is an interesting concept. So it means it's almost ready to start, plugging things in, but the rest of the wire. So some of the big equipment has been brought into the building.
Okay, great. Finance Committee, Kathy?
We haven't met since the council passed the guidelines. We canceled the meeting for tomorrow. And we have no carryover. So there will be a new day in January.
Okay. GOL, Anna?
GOL is done. Thank you all so much for staying later at our last meeting to pass the town manager goals. GOL has concluded its business, and you'll see the rest of what we've got ahead in our carryover memo. Thank you.
Great.
Oh, and I just, because GOL did not get a final meeting, I would just like to take this moment to thank the members of GOL, Councillor Ette, Pat DeAngelis, Hala Lord, Lynn Grusmer. Thank you all so much for showing up and bringing all the things that you brought to GOL. I wanted to count the resolutions and proclamations that we passed and the number of commas that we put in them specifically, but I gave up after I hit 100. So thank you all so much for your work. And I'm sorry that we didn't get a meeting where I could say that in person, but now I get to say it in front of everyone else here. So thank you all.
Great. Thank you. Jones Library Committee, George Ryan?
So again, as I've said, work is proceeding on schedule, actually maybe slightly ahead of schedule. I think there was a question recently about what has been spent in terms of change orders. The total amount of change orders on this project to date is $667,594. And those represent two items. One has to do with the slate roof, which is the vast bulk of that change order, almost 600,000. And then there was about 70,000 for a fire alarm system. There have been no new change orders in the last month. We were told that the council will be getting updated numbers from the finance director and from Bob Parent sometime at the beginning of the next year.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments? Thank you. TSO, Andy?
Yes, you have the written report from the committee, and we had the one last meeting last week. One of the things that we developed was some very small changes that we're proposing to the TSO committee charge because of the change in the, we recognize that the committee's role is going to change with the creation of the Transportation and Parking Commission, and that it's going to be able to work on other aspects of its work and wants to diminish, thinks it will be diminishing its role to a large extent in public ways policy. But ultimately, that's a matter for GOL. So we sent it along with the request that the president put that in the memo that she's developing for the next council, so that the council can make a decision to refer to the GOL, because it really needs to be worked on at GOL next year in the new council. And that was one of the major pieces, obviously our carryover memo, and both of those things have been were made available by the council president along with our report. So with that, I want to thank my colleagues on the committee who put in a lot of time and good hard work on getting some big things done this year. And so Councilor Lord, Councilor Ryan, Jennifer Taub, and Bob Hegner, thank you so much.
Great. Thank you. Are there any liaison reports? Okay, seeing none. Now we go on to town manager's report. Actually, we're out now at town council comments. Though it was late to the packet, I did send you a president's report encompassing essentially most of November and this part of December. Are there any questions or comments? Please let me know if there are any after you have a chance to read it. I also want to take a moment and thank all of the committee chairs, the vice chairs, and the members of the 4 committees, and this building committee and the library committee, the elementary school and the library. You are actually the wheels that make the council work. And you're the ones that really do the work, do the hard work, spend the time in meetings, and bring forward in any number of ways, both with your memos and in terms of additional items that we then have to act on. So I just want to just say that it is really the chairs and the vice chairs and the members of those committees that make the council actually get its work done. So thank you very much. We've discussed future agenda items, and Athena has those as we have discussed them for both the January 6th, 5th meeting and the January 12th meeting.
Can I add a quick point of information?
Yes.
The Charter Review Committee is planning on making its presentation on January 5th. Their public forum on their preliminary report is tomorrow night. It'll be here in the town room and on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. And in addition to that, while we have invited all of the various people who've been elected to office to come and be sworn in that night at 6:30, if people want to be sworn in advance, they may do that. They need to go to the clerk's office to do that. And my understanding is that the school committee has a meeting, or the regional school committee has a meeting that night. So many of them have already been sworn in. Also under future agenda items, I was asked by Mindy Dom's office, Representative Dom's office, and Joe Comerford for the dates that we're meeting in February so that they can choose which one works best for them to come and address the council. Prior to their coming, if there are certain things that the council wants to address, that'll have to be organized. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments on future agenda items? Seeing none, then we do have a little bit of a farewell for counselors. So, but again, I want to start by, first of all, thanking the council. The next slide, please. So unfortunately, this is the one picture where we were all here. And so it is our official picture of the town council. We tried one other time and it didn't happen. So anyway, again, thank you all for a really solid 2 years. We've had many accomplishments and many things that frankly we're leaving to the next council. So we start, and I'm going to ask that we show the slide. I get to pick the pictures. Hey, they're out in the public domain. What else can I say? So the first one is Freka Ete, and so we're going to take it down so that people can see faces. And the 2 counselors that are going to particularly speak to Counselor Ete are George and Hala. In that order? Sure. George?
Want to go first?
Yeah.
How much time do I have?
1 to 2 minutes.
Oh, 1 to 2. I thought you said, oh, okay. Oh. So I have had the very distinct pleasure over the past 2 years of getting to know the gentleman to my right, Councilor Freka Ete. When he arrived on the council, he was, at least to me, a complete unknown. And one thing I knew was that he was relatively new to Amherst. And so that was the first thing that impressed me about him, his willingness to put himself forward for service on this council, something we know that many who have lived here far longer are often reluctant to do. As I got to know him better and as I saw him in action on the council, I came to respect his seriousness of mind and of purpose. He thinks long and hard about the nature of his job, what it requires of him, of the responsibilities he has to his colleagues, to his constituents in District 1, and to the larger community both in Amherst and beyond. I've been impressed by his willingness to see all sides of an issue, Fairness is something that matters deeply to him. I've been impressed by his integrity and his courage. On more than one occasion before this body, when it would have been far more expedient politically and far more self-serving to remain silent, he spoke up eloquently and forcefully on what he saw as matters of principle that needed to be addressed. He is always someone who is looking for ways to bring people together rather than focusing on what divides them. I have to say, on a more personal level, I've enjoyed over the past 2 years frequent conversations with him on a wide variety of topics that have little to nothing to do with the business of this body. We've talked about his native Nigeria, his family. We talked about politics, both ancient and modern. Talked about film, philosophy, music, and sports. Though I must confess that I do find his affection for the LSU Tigers to be something I would say rather concerning. But I do want to say that it's been a particular pleasure to me to have someone on this body who can not only understand my sports metaphors, but actually appreciate them. To wit, it's not about whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. You played well, my friend.
Following that, Councillor Ryan, I wrote mine directly to you, Councillor Ette. So I just want to say that I want to express my sincere appreciation for your service to our town. Throughout the time on this council, you have consistently asked thoughtful, well-considered questions that not only help me understand more or help me glean a perspective I hadn't considered, but those questions have helped ensure that decisions were made with care and clarity. I've enjoyed being on GOL with you and getting a deeper understanding of your brilliance, your care, and your attention to details, like that's a semicolon, no, the comma goes there. Things that I'm woefully not strong at. I also want to mention that you have modeled respect and kindness in public service. When we as a council have devolved into speaking to each other with unkindness, you are the voice to remind us of how to disagree in healthy ways and the power of kindness in speaking to each other. Thank you for that. I was deeply impacted, as were many in the community, when you raised your voice and concern for our community in your council comments when members of our community were having their visas canceled and being targeted by national government based on immigration and race. You were the loudest and first voice I remember during that time, and thank you for leading that way. I appreciate the way you move through these meetings with grace, strength, and kindness. I'm grateful for you, Councillor Ette, for your dedication, integrity, steady presence, and I thank you for your meaningful contributions to our community.
Thank you so much. Councillor Ette, would you like to say anything?
So thank you. Thank you, George. And thank you, Hala. My 2 years on the council has been marked by me being a person of few words, and I'm not going to go out of character. I'd like to thank Lynn for tolerating me and the nuisance that I brought to the council once in a while, for teaching me what it means to serve the public. I'd like to thank Kathy for showing what it means to care about the community that you live in. Being a member of the community and listening to the people in that community. I didn't always listen to you, but that has more to do with my stubbornness than with the wisdom and the care that you showed me. Thank you, Pat. more than any counselor right now, Pat, I'm grateful for your friendship. I was reflecting on the fact that the first time that I saw you, what we talked about wasn't about politics. If you may recall, it was about a novel featuring a Tibetan monk who was a detective. Yeah, the score mantra. Yeah. Thank you. And I want to thank Paul. The first time that I saw you, I walked into your office unknown, and you were graceful in the way you accommodated me and the questions that I had that you answered. And you've continued to reflect that grace towards me and towards the town. And I'm grateful for that. One of the reasons I got into what I'm doing now is because I cared about the way we were speaking to each other on the council, but also in politics. We may be concerned about what happens nationally, but national politics is a reflection of what happens locally. And what I've seen from the council, we may fall short, but we've always tried to be a model of what it means to practice politics well. And so I want to thank everyone on the council. I want to thank the town as well, and thank North Amherst for having me for 2 years. Thank you.
We're going to go to Bob Hegner. And I just want to point out that I thought about putting a blue background here, but since he only wears the blue shirts, I decided it was safer not to do that. So, Bob, this is what I could find on the web, you know? There you go. So the two people that are going to speak to Bob are Alicia Walker, Councillor Walker, and Pam Rooney. So Alicia.
Thank you. I just want to take a moment to thank Councillor Hagner for his service to the town of Amherst over the past 2 years and beyond. While I didn't have the opportunity to work with you one-on-one, Bob, I did have the chance to serve alongside you on the Finance Committee. And in that role, I came to really appreciate the way you approached the work and led the committee when you needed to. You consistently asked hard questions, thought critically about the information that was in front of us, and helped to keep our discussions grounded in fiscal responsibility and long-term impacts. Serving on the council, and particularly the Finance Committee, is not easy work, and it requires a real willingness to dig into these complex issues, to challenge assumptions, and to show up during difficult conversations. And you did that with seriousness and a clear commitment to our community. We are very fortunate to have had your perspective and your willingness to serve during these past 2 years. And I hope that as this term comes to a close, that you are able to take some well-deserved time to rest, reflect, and enjoy whatever it is that comes next. So thank you so much, Bob, for your service to Amherst.
Pam?
Thank you. Bob, I offered to say something. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I offered to say something about Bob because I've had the fun of sitting next to him for a number of meetings. And I think it's those 2 minutes before a meeting and after a meeting that, you start to make some connections with people. People have spoken about Bob's service on the Finance Committee. I want to suggest to Bob Hegner that this is not the last time he should serve on a committee. He brings a wealth of education, and a really deep understanding of federal and state government, environmental safety, cleanup of nuclear weapon sites, expansion of underserved rural areas, disaster relief programs, and one of the notable accomplishments, not serving necessarily the town of Amherst, was his serving as operation officer for Hurricane Katrina's disaster recovery, an $11 billion federally funded project. This is somebody in our community that has clearly served broader purposes. And I want to encourage him to submit his CAF for whatever committee he feels like sitting on after he gets that rest and relaxation that he deserves. So thank you, Bob. Appreciate it very much. Enjoy retirement.
Would you like to say anything?
Well, just so people know, thanks to Pat, I'm now the treasurer of the Amherst Mobile Market. So I'll be devoting my efforts towards food insecurity. And I ask the council to focus more on food insecurity in the next council. I think it's a real problem, and it's a problem facing this community as well as the country. And I think we should do more about it than we have in our busy world. I do want to say thank you to you all. You've been a great council. We didn't always agree on things, but I think we all tried to do the right thing for what we considered the right thing for the community. And a wise man, Bernie Kubiak, once said that the town council was 13 mayors, which I think is probably correct. I think we're also a herd of cats, which are not easily sent in the same direction. I want to thank, in particular, Andy, because when I first started serving the town, Andy was the chair of the finance committee, and he brought me into the committee, and he taught me, I think, how to think about public finance. I had a lot of experience with private finance, but very little with public finance. And Andy really taught me how to do that. I also want to thank Athena, who is probably the glue that holds the committee, the council together. She's not only able to follow the details of what we're thinking, but she is also an expert on governance and on the rules that we have to follow. And we do defer to her expertise all the time when we get stuck on something. So I think she deserves everyone's appreciation. So thank you all. I will spend more time in retirement, but the mobile market will start up again in the summer, and it'll take a lot of time at that time. So thank you all. I appreciate everyone's willingness to put up with me for 2 years, and I hope the council, those of you who are remaining on the council and the next council coming in, will continue the fine work of this council.
Thank you. So the next one's Pat DeAngelis. Wait for these pictures. Again, all of them can be found on the web. And Councilor Haneke and I are here to roast you. Not really. So Councilor Haneke, you want to go? You want to go first?
I would never roast. We first met after a league debate in 2018, and I don't know if you remember that, but you came up to me after that. And from that meeting to the first time we collaborated on wage theft, when you and Kathy took a leap of faith in collaborating with, as I say, someone from the other side. That very first year led to our years-long advocacy and efforts to improve housing affordability in town. And through all that, you became a good friend, colleague, and trusted advisor. To me, you epitomize what a counselor should be. You have been an unrelenting advocate for the unrepresented, and you have been committed to justice, particularly housing affordability, food insecurity, and workers' rights. You are strong and fearless, and you are willing to vote your conscience, no matter the costs. And from that first time we collaborated, you have been open to working with everyone, to finding common ground, even when you get criticized by others for doing so. It's never stopped you. And part of what makes that great is that you leave the votes and the rancor at these meetings, such that showing up the next day or the next morning for a meeting to collaborate with someone that you fought with wholeheartedly the night before, but then the next day you show up without holding a grudge. And that's what makes you so effective. You always look forward, not backwards, to those past votes. So with your retirement, the council loses an advocate who tried to proactively change Amherst for the better, who was unwilling to sit back and wait for others to do the work. Your retirement's a loss to Amherst, and you will be missed.
So I first met Pat at a league debate. At the end of the debate, I said to her, why don't you just run for school committee? And the reason I said that is because Pat's commitment to education is unquestioned. Having served as both a teacher in the classroom and ongoing, is an example of Pat's commitment to whatever she does. Her commitment to the mobile market, her work at the Amherst Survival Center, her ongoing commitment to demonstrating whenever needed and whatever the consequences, and her commitment to working with people who are incarcerated. Always looking out for what is the next thing that needs to be done for people who don't always speak comfortably themselves. So Pat and I have shared District 2 in probably one of my most valued professional and personal relationships. We've campaigned together, we've disagreed, and we've agreed to disagree, but always have kept it up above board and for the best betterment of our district. Pat, I am going to have trouble saying goodbye. You've been a terrific counselor. You stood up for what you believed in, and I've really enjoyed having you as my colleague and my friend. Thank you. Pat?
Well, as usual, I didn't plan to say anything. So I don't know what I'm going to say to you. Thank you for your kind words. I've been a pain in the butt here. I've been a bitch here. And for some of it, I apologize when I've been rude. But generally, it's because I do feel passionately. It doesn't mean I deeply disrespect anybody in here. And I have developed some intense and wonderful relationships. I want to say thank you to Paul. I want to say thank you to Athena, who has entered my life, and I don't want to not have that because it's such a gift. But it's also challenged me in ways, I could say, to pass this or that, but no, it's challenged me to look at the people in our community. And it is the smallest connections that become real, that are important to our work. It is the person you go to interview about police interaction in Amherst, who you see 3 years later, who says to you, you are a good counselor because you go to the people. And I think that's what I've tried to do, is to allow my voice to touch the edges of the places where people exist without voice. I also really, really, really want to challenge all of you who are going to be on the council and the newcomers to do something. And it's from a fortune cookie. And it's been taped to my town laptop for probably 7 years. We should not let our fears hold us back from pursuing our hopes. And every time you can only think of the bad thing that's going to impact you, start thinking about the people other than yourself who are going to be impacted by the decisions you make. And make them for Amherst, not for yourself or for your district. Make them because people count, no matter where they are in the community, where they stand, or whether they vote. And that's probably it. Now I want to hear from Andy, about Andy.
All right, Andy, I found a few pictures. I tried to find one actually, which you have when you were in Kanagasaki, but I didn't have the actual photo. So anyway, Andy, Kathy and Anna have both volunteered to speak of you, and then you'll get your chance after all these many, many years in government. So we'll begin with Kathy.
We're beginning with me.
You want to go?
We saw what happened with the other folks, and we are like, we're going to scheme over here to
Okay,
make sure
so
we had a plan.
Anna?
We're going to start with me.
Okay.
So tonight, Kathy and I have the impossible task of thanking a man who has served this community for 30 years as he concludes his final town council meeting. So I am naturally, as anyone I'm sure would, going to use the analogy of an action movie and a main character superhero to talk about Andy's journey a little bit, because what could be more similar to serving in local government than your next Marvel blockbuster? For those who may not know, Andy's commitment to Amherst began formally in 1996, when I was 5 years old, when he was first elected to town meeting. That initial step marked the start of a long and steady dedication to local government, one grounded in care for the town, respect for process, and a belief that good decisions require both historical context and current perspective. I looked back at the warrant for that fateful meeting, Andy's first town meeting. Well, meetings, because it took place over the course of 7 days. And I'm hoping I got the dates right, although I am sure Andy will tell me if I didn't. Some of the first votes that Andy took in service of the town included such thrilling moments as an appropriation of $100,000 to repair and replace approximately 800 feet of 16-inch sewer line on Hitchcock Road, as well as Article 38 for the town meeting to direct the moderator to appoint a committee of 7 citizens to study procedures and practices associated with town meeting and submit recommendations for improvements therein to the next annual town meeting. Said study to include, but not be limited to, the efficacy and size of town meeting and its function and accountability as a legislative body. Oh boy. By the way, that first day, just the first day of that meeting, ended after 10 p.m. Hopefully, this does not happen for Andy's final meeting. I see this time in town meeting as the montage part of his local government superhero film, the part where the protagonist is training in a cave, learning all of the things about his enemy. And in this case, that enemy is the downfall of Amherst, so that he can ensure that that enemy never succeeds. And in case you aren't sure about my analogy here, Andy got the opportunity to train in that cave of town meeting on many issues which he would face again and again, including participating in 6 town meeting sessions in 1997 just on the issue of a parking garage, which at the time the Amherst Bulletin called Amherst's longest running soap opera. We got a revival of it a couple years ago. Andy served on the Finance Committee, including a significant time as its chair, where he helped guide the town through complex fiscal decisions with clarity and discipline. His work there laid his reputation, the reputation that would follow him throughout his career in public service. Thoughtful, thorough, and deeply committed to the long-term financial stewardship of the town. In 2014, Andy was elected to the Select Board, serving Amherst during a period of significant transition. And when we adopted a new form of government, Andy once again stepped forward, this time as an at-large member on the very first Amherst Town Council. He's now completing his third term on the council, a role he has approached with the same care, compassion, and commitment that have defined his entire public life. In our superhero movies, that time on the finance committee and as its chair and on the select board, this is where our protagonist is kind of fighting those smaller enemies, continuing to hone his skills. Andy has seen this community through periods of immense change, from schools closing to schools being built, through recession and economic shifts, from building parks to adding departments, from votes on keeping backyard chickens to meetings that went on for 12 nights in a row. Through the changing of town managers, town priorities, state and national contexts, Andy has been our steady presence. And so, in the finale of our superhero film, Andy culminated his journey with the ultimate battle, serving on the town council. He has fought for this community through multiple forms of government, helping to shape it into what it is today. Throughout my time on the council, Andy has been our historian. When questions arose about how a policy came to be, why some sort of structure existed, or what lessons the past might offer, Andy was often the one who would calmly and generously provide that context, even if I didn't want it. His institutional memory has been invaluable, especially in times of change. Equally important has been Andy's role as our fiscal expert. He has consistently asked the hard questions, insisted on transparency in our budgeting, and reminded us to think not just about the next budget cycle, but about the long-term health of the town that we all serve. Andy and I were not without disagreement, but I could always count on him to talk through things with me and explain his reasoning. He would reach out to anyone to talk through his concerns, and kindly sharing those concerns, and as well as what he would need to see in order to gain his support. I remember speaking with him for nearly an hour once about solar panels. And while we did not come to the same conclusion, I deeply respected his process and his desire to understand, not just to stick to his own opinions. I would be remiss if I did not mention that we also share a love of Wegmans, a Western New York institution. And if we could have introduced a bylaw to bring one to Amherst, I bet we would have. I will miss talking about his visits to Rochester on our way up or down from the town room. I was also regularly struck by his compassion, grounded in his long career with legal aid, which in this context, I don't think gets enough credit. This man did incredible work not just for Amherst, but he also made a full career out of helping people who needed it the most. So, we have reached the epilogue of our movie, where our long-standing superhero can take off his cape, sit back, and watch all of those he helped to guide continue to carry on his legacy and fight for the town of Amherst. Andy's legacy is one of quiet diligence, deep knowledge, and unwavering commitment to our community. Our town is stronger, wiser, and better governed because of his service. So thank you, Andy. For 30 years of dedication, leadership, and care for Amherst, we are deeply grateful. And while I hope the next few years have fewer late nights, you can bet you will be consulted often, at least by me, although I do not think I'm alone. Thank you.
After that, I can say ditto. And edit my notes a little bit. Thank you, Anna, for being so comprehensive. I just want to, on behalf of the council, but also all the residents of Amherst, I want to thank you, Andy, for all the years of service that Anna just went through. As Anna just said, these years date well before the council, way back to town meeting days, but the finance committee, which you chaired through very difficult budget times. I just found a finance and budget report when people were talking about, we have a structural deficit, we have a problem ahead of us. And that was in 2013. You know, we're talking about long service and the 4 years you spent on select board before you came to the council and creation of the council. Since the council started, you've graciously given your time when asked to explain complex issues or provide documents and pointed to where to find finance-related information. During my first term, the first term of the council, you were generous with your time to help me get up to speed with finance. This included occasionally sharing the role of chair or allowing me to do the first draft of a finance committee report. You went out of your way to make me feel like a partner, a real partner, albeit in my own estimate, a very junior partner on the finance committee with much to learn. You listened closely and respectfully when we had different views on the issue. Listening is a skill that has been so much appreciated, as are your analytic and legal and lawyer eyes. These helped ensure wording was accurate and clear. And as Anna just said, we focused on our budget and financial reality, both short-term and long-term. You have provided a model for all of us by always coming prepared and informed and bringing information about the most recent state actions and what those were likely to do and have an impact on town, including which legislation we might want to focus on, because you served on state committees as well as town committees. I personally have thoroughly enjoyed working with you and getting to know you during the 7 years we've served together on the Finance Committee and Council. On behalf of the council and myself, I wish you all the best for your next phase of life. You have given so much to all of us. I thank you, and I hope you'll stay in touch.
So Andy, do you have any final words you'd like to say?
Well, first of all, thank you to both Anna and Kathy for your kind statements and summary of what I've done or tried to do, let's say, for the town over these years. It was a difficult decision to decide not to run for re-election after all these years of running for election. But I sort of reflected back on what Anna referred to as about my legal aid career and recognizing that when I left Western Mass Legal Services as executive director, after doing that for 25 years, I ended up saying to the then moderator of the town meeting that I would be interested in serving on the Finance Committee. That led to everything else that followed in select board and the council. And as Lynn and I have used the term, it's a matter of flunking retirement, because a lot of people do a lot of good things in retirement just to enjoy life. And I ended up finding sort of a second career in town government. And so now I'm really going to retire, and I'm not going to, as I'm creeping faster than I'd like to admit towards my 80th birthday, I think it's time for me to think, maybe it is time to retire, and that's what I'm doing. When I ran for select board, one of the things that I was that said, why people would ask, why are you running for select board? And I said, because I'm tired of being on the Finance Committee where we're dividing up a limited pot of money, and maybe on the select board I'll have the opportunity to figure out ways that we can expand that pot, as opposed to just trying to divide up what's already there. Turned out to be a little bit more frustrating than I thought it was going to be. And so it's a task now that I'm passing on to the rest of you who are staying on the council. And the other things that why I ran for council at the time was realizing that one or two people, and it turned out to be Alyssa and I, who had experience, needed to share our experience. Now it's your turn to share experience with the new people coming in. I don't think you need me anymore for that role. But the one thing that I really have found most gratifying about the council is that we don't always agree. We all respect each other, and we're all, in the end, when we leave, friends. And we're caring for each other, and we're respecting each other. And I think that's a value that we've had as a council. And I counting on all of you to work with our newly elected members and to show them by example what we've learned by example in doing this successfully. So with that, I want to say I'm going to miss most of all of the people here in this room today, my fellow counselors, Paul, Athena. You've all been great, all been supportive, and I look forward to seeing you and hearing from you and seeing what your success is. But it will be different because I won't see you as frequently as I have. And also have to conclude by thanking the voters of Amherst who have elected me for good or not, but have elected me 5 times in elections to townwide office. And so I want to actually recognize that the people who elected me are the people who we really care about. And we hope that what we have done for them makes their lives better. And I pass that task on to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Rather than try to say anything else, I'm going to make a motion to adjourn and seek a second.
Second, yeah.
Okay, we start the vote with Counselor Lord. Pam Rooney,
You're muted, Pam.
Wait, maybe she can't get to the meeting.
You're on mute, Pam.
she's bound.
Yes.
Counselor Ryan,
Aye.
Kathy Shane,
Yes.
Andy Steinberg,
My last vote, yes.
Jennifer Taub,
Yes.
Counselor Walker,
Yes.
Pat DeAngelis,
Aye.
Anna Devlin Gothier,
Aye.
Counselor Ette,
Aye.
Lynn Griesmer's an aye, Counselor Haneke,
Hi.
and Bob Hagner.
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned. It is 7:55.